So the questionnaire we did covered a multitude of different areas, but we specifically talked to them about how comfortable they would feel about coming back out with us. And if they did come back out with us, did they want to do things like socially distance? Would they be happy to wear a mask? Would they want to be in a larger group of us or a smaller group? And we got some really good data and feedback from that. And on that basis is why we're doing what we're doing now.
So how many people responded-ish?
Well, we typically have supported about 500 people a year for many, many years now. We've spoken to at least half of those people. Some people are more willing to get. I think everybody's been questionnared out. So we took as many people as we possibly could in a very short space of time, just so that we got a snapshot to know what to do and how to go forward. So about 240, 250 people responded. And on the basis of that, we talked to people about how they felt about their own, whether they were still confident to do things for themselves, and if people were keen to go out. And 75% of them said, yes, we absolutely want to go out, we'd live at home again. And in fact, I was getting telephone calls saying, when are you going to go out? So we have started, but yeah, as we said, on a little bit less forward thrusting as we have done in the past.
It's great that you've got a majority of people keen to get out and do things, but of course it's still 25%. Is it still a significant amount of people that are reluctant? Do you know what the manner of that reluctance is at all?
I think it's a very personal issue. I mean, obviously people have to take into concerns their own underlying health problems, and the lockdown period has brought people's health into their own minds very, very sharply. So, if you've got something that's causing you difficulties and you think that you are more vulnerable, then you don't want to put yourself in a position that would raise that vulnerability even more. So I think it's a very personal thing. Some people just don't feel confident being in big groups, and to a certain extent, confidence levels, although a lot of people said that they didn't feel any less confident, if you're going into a circumstance when you've spent 18 to 20 weeks on your own in the majority of things, or you've seen things change so vastly in terms of, the way that shops work and barriers up, and it very much heightens your own concerns about your own health. And I think that's had a great thing to play with, particularly older people.
Well, Live at Home works, of course, to help people of a certain age be physical still and get out and do things. But of course, so much of what you do is about the mental impact of being at home. So with people, as you say, 18, 20 weeks isolated, perhaps a group that's more affected by isolation than others in the community, what mental effect do you think it might be having on people's well-being?
Well, again, part of the questionnaire I did specifically ask some questions about isolation and loneliness, which is the crux of the work that we've done for the last 22 years. And I think particularly the pandemic has proven to us that, or it's shown to a lot of other people that probably didn't understand what isolation and loneliness has on your mental, not mental health, but the way that you feel about things and the way that you interact in life. I think that's become much sharper in people's minds now. So we did ask specifically questions, and I used a measurement tool that's been used by the Campaign to End Loneliness in the UK, specifically a very simple tool, asking whether there's been a change between before lockdown and during lockdown in terms of people's feelings of loneliness. And the answers basically were you felt lonely hardly ever, some of the time, or often. And the difference between lockdown is that we found that out of those that we questioned, 63% of people hardly ever felt lonely before lockdown. During lockdown, that went down to 50%. The position in respect of being lonely some of the time stayed about the same, about 29 to 30%. But the often went up from 7% to 21%, which is really understandable. But I think the sharpest lesson I've found from that was I did think about it and think, well, why would people hardly ever feel lonely? But if you think about the demographic that we deal with, the people that have got less support, their families and friends have died, or your interaction with the outside world is reduced. If you feel lonely all the time anyway, pandemics are not going to make any difference to that, and that's possibly why the answers that we got probably weren't as a big variation as you might have thought would have happened.